Hey, what's up, Reefers? Today we're gonna try something a little different, a little bit old school. It's called Coral Snow. It sounds like another fancy product, but no, it's actually a really OG method of clearing the tank. From what I understand, it is a flocculant. Basically, it is this calcium carbonate. You mix calcium carbonate with RODI water, and it'll bind all the detritus and smaller fine particles inside the tank together, so it's easier to be taken out by mechanical filtration or skimmer. At least that's what I heard from Sunny. Because I myself is just trying out this process, I'm hesitant in sharing more information myself, so I'm gonna redirect you guys to Sunny's Instagram page. Sunny is a OG reefer who is a proponent of using this coral snow method of clearing the tank out, as well as it has the property of taking out vermetid snail as well. If I recall correctly, the idea is that these vermetid snails can cast out a net to capture food. In the process, it will catch some of these flocculant calcium carbonate, it pull it in, and eventually it will clog the tube and they'll starve to death. So that supposedly is one way to clear out the vermetid snails. Another potential benefit is that they may address cyano bacteria. And as you can see, my tank is starting to get decent bit of cyanobacteria, simply because there is an imbalance in the nutrients. My nitrate is steadily dropping. It's around 7 to 10 at these days, but my phosphate remains really high. We're talking like 0.17 to 0.25-ish the last time I checked, so it did jump up. So there's an imbalance. That's why I started seeing cyano coming in, so I started dosing a little bit of nitrate so that they're back in balance, and then I clear out my GFO, got fresh ones in to bring it back down a little bit, so they'll hopefully meet somewhere in the middle. But I have always had this bottle of calcium carbonate around. This is really cheap online, and this has been a old school method of just bringing, if nothing else, water clarity. So the moment I saw Sunny uses this, and also Tusi also used this method to bring water clarity to his tank, I know that there's something to it, especially since that this is not an actual product. Well, it is a product, but it's not like a aquarium branded product, but it's more like a methodology from the old times, and the fact that it's withstood the test of time and people are still doing it, that there might be something to it. So I figure, well, you know what, let's try it out. Well, number one, to bring water clarity, that's why I got this bottle. You'll see all the dust on the bottle. It's been sitting here for a while. And number two, I now have cyano coming up, and one of the side benefit of this again is to also combat the cyanobacteria. So I'll give this a try, and this will be a long-term test. I plan to do this once a week for at least a month or two before I do the continuation of this video to show you guys the results. So here we go, first dose. First thing we need to do is to turn off the return pump to separate the display tank and the sump, so that the flocculant, when I dose it, it has a chance to really work into all the crevices before it gets sucked into the sump. So let's turn that off. I know usually people go into Mobius and do a stop there, but for me, I'm more analog. I just put a plug, and that should take care of that. I made sure the skimmer is turned off so it does not overflow. I like to look at the tank sometimes from the top down. When I'm feeding, you know, all the pumps off, it's just a different view. I don't get to see this all the time. So I think the Worldwide Coral Slime Ball, the green one that I got from Danny from New York, is really growing on me. So aside from the coloration, which is fantastic, I like the formation, growth form. Structure is really nice too. In terms of color, I definitely like the goldenrod. However, just like a mess of balls, which that's how it's supposed to grow. It's like a big chunk of mess. It's like those tumbleweed versus the slime ball Inappropriate. It's more like almost like acro in terms of the growth formation. It's I like it. I like it. The purple one, it's kind of like a mystery. I think I remember it being called the electric Miyagi torch. But then again, we have people telling me that this may be a Cali torch, so who knows? Or maybe they're just all the same thing, who knows? I mean, these are all kind of man-made names, right? Nozzles, making that nasty noise, pumping the water back through. And the fish are like, what's going on? Oh, you guys don't know what's about to hit you. And this is probably different for them too, because usually when I turn off the flow, I turn off the MPs as well. But we are actually keeping the MPs on. I believe 1 teaspoon to 8 ounces of RODI water treats 50 gallon of water. I hope I remember right. So I did 2 teaspoons of the calcium carbonates with roughly 16 ounces of water. I added a little bit more water just so it's a little bit more diluted. I'm a little scared. I let it mix and sit for about 5 minutes, and I let it sit a little bit more. I did not add any bacteria. Sunny mentioned that bacteria is a nice option to add as well if I'm combating stuff like cyanobacteria, because what it does is that it'll coat the things so that it competes with the cyanos or other things I do not want. But I don't have any bacteria on hand at the moment, so we're just gonna let it go. Here we go. Oh my goodness, I'm filming this just in case things go haywire. So we have one last look at the tank. And I was a little concerned about the little clamps. However, in one of the Sunny's IG posts, somebody asked about clamps as well, and he mentioned that it should be okay. So, all right, here we go. Let's try. Oh boy, this makes me nervous. And people do this once a week. Oh, I forgot to blow out the detritus. That's okay. Yeah, one thing he recommended as well, oh, there's some deposit right there, I didn't mix it well enough. One thing he also recommended is to just kind of go in and blow out some of the rocks and stuff. Here's a good time to get the detritus out of the rock and the sand bed, so they'll kind of bind well with these flagellants. Dude, I can do it now. Here, let me just do it real quick. So here you see I'm just using a long turkey baster to gently baste out the rocks. And you see all these dust flying out. Get these gunks out into the water column. Clam seems okay, at least a large one. I'm concerned about, oh, here we go, here are the gunks. Here are the cyanos. We got some cyanos up here too. Maybe I'll just blow them off, use this chance. Okay, don't want to go too crazy, first time around. All right, so we are supposed to let this sit and marinate for about 30 minutes. Give them some time to kind of run and do the thing, and we'll check back. This makes me nervous. But I'm happy to see that at least the small clam is not closed, right? Usually when they're really bothered, they'll go like this to push whatever particulates out. But so far they seems okay. So that's good. Okay, got the water pumping back in. The MPs have been running, and we'll see how it goes. I did also put in filter socks. Well, I'm actually using filter cups, and I use floss mats, so it's a little bit cheaper. You get a row of those mats, 2-ply mats. One is like white floss, and then there's a color floss at the bottom. Just cut it up, stuff them onto the filter cups. So I don't do that often. I don't polish the water often mechanically, but once in a while I do that. And when you do stuff like this, Sunny did recommend that I have a mechanical filtration as well, because the particulate side will be a little bit larger, so this will be able to capture some of the stuff as well. So once the water level get back to normal, I'm gonna turn on a skimmer, and I think a skimmer is just gonna go crazy. Look at how cloudy the water is. It's scary, but the good thing is that the clam has stayed open the entire time, so I feel like that should be okay. That's a good sign. 4 to 6 weeks later. Hey, what's up, Reefers? It has been about 6 weeks since I have started the calcium carbonate or coral snow dosing. Let me show you what has been happening to the tank. I have been dosing calcium carbonate or coral snow for 6 weeks at this point. Usually on a Monday I'll do this, and by Tuesday, the next day, the tank will clear up. And I can say for sure the tank definitely looks a lot more clear. So it definitely brings clarity to the tank if you look back to some of my earlier videos. Now it could be a lot of things. It could be the coral snow working as claimed, or it could be the fact that I started using mechanical filtration, which is something that I don't normally use. I'm sure that also plays a factor, because again, to bring out the calcium carbonate is there to bind up all the detritus and all the larger particulates in the water to make them easier to be captured by the mechanical filtration, meaning like filter socks, and also by being able to skim down. So I'm sure that helped. And also during the entire process, while the coral snow was going in the tank, I would use a turkey baster to kind of clear out all the gunks in the rock. So I feel like there's definitely a lot less gunk in the tank, and just as claimed, I don't really see as much cyanobacteria. It could be because I kept disturbing them each week, blow them out and stuff like that, because I understand that in order for me to really kind of put a serious dent on the cyanobacteria, I'm supposed to mix in bacteria into the coral snow mixture, which I never did. I've been doing it for 6 weeks. I have never added any bacteria products into the coral snow solution. It's pretty much a straight, once again, calcium carbonates. I do 2 teaspoons of this with, I believe, 16 ounces of RODI water. But at this point, I just use kind of like a bale. This is actually what I use exactly. I use this, I fill it with RODI water, and I just do 2 teaspoons of calcium carbonates. I'll mix it up 5 minutes, and then I'll just kind of dump it right in the high flow area. And then, like I mentioned in the video, I'll unplug the return pump, but keep the MPs running in the display tank to keep the water circulation, so the coral snow can do its magic stuff. And during the whole time, I will use the turkey baster to just kind of clear all the rock work. Yeah, nothing seems to be bothered during the treatments. After the treatments, I was really worried about the baby clams because I feel like they're a little bit more sensitive. Maybe they have like smaller gills and stuff like that, but no issue. Even during the half an hour of treatment, they remain open, never seems bothered by the coral snow. And that was my main concern. I don't mind if this does not work, but I absolutely do not want to hurt any of the critters in this tank. And so far it's been a month and a half, no issue at all. So because of that, I see no reason to stop. The bonus is that it actually works, because I do think that the tank is more clear now. Once again, I'm not sure if it's the coral snow itself or the mechanical filtration, but regardless, the tank does seems more clear, and I'm 50-50 regarding whether the coral snow help with the cyanobacteria, especially since I did not dose any bacteria products into the solution. But I do think that on either the coral snow or the better maintenance of the tank by blowing them off each week, that definitely helped with the cyanobacteria situation. Because right now, if you look, I see a little bit of cyano coming in right there, but they never really accumulate too much. Versus before, I'm starting to get like mats, right? So it could be the coral snow itself, or it could be because I'm blowing it off. But during this entire process, I never did a water change. In fact, I think the last time I did a water change in this tank was almost half a year ago at this point. Usually I only do water change when something is wrong with the tank or I really want to clean out sump. That's usually the only time I do water change. In terms of Vermetid Snail, which is something that quite a few people claim that the coral snow would help take care of too. Vermetid snails are those little tubes. Those are actually worms that form the tubes, and it's cast out this nets to catch food and pull it in to eat, right? The issue of Vermetid snail is that sometimes they irritate the corals, and they're really hard to kind of completely eliminate from the tank. In my tank, I've been using bumblebee snails. I think I still have a couple roaming around, but that's a long process, and a lot of people claim that dosing coral snow will also help control the population of Vermetid snail, because the webbing will pull in all these calcium carbonate and eventually will clog the tube, which scientifically, I guess that makes sense. But I never really noticed more of the Vermetid snails in my tank, but that could be due to the bumblebee snail as well. So I don't want to give coral snow all the credits, but I just want to mention it as well. If you're fighting Vermetid snail in the tank, which is the pain in the butt, I know because I've been there, coral snow may be something that's worthwhile to look into, especially if it does not harm anything in your tank and the super low startup cost. Because once again, I need to bring this to your attention. It may sound expensive, however, DIY recipe for the coral snow is essentially just this: calcium carbonates. This, for me, at the time of purchase, which was a while back because it's been sitting on my shelf, I just never got around to trying this. This, looking back, it was $14. And when I did the math, this will actually last me almost exactly 1 year for this 135-gallon display tank. I understand that Sunny have a different product listed on his Instagram bio, so if you're interested, check that out too. Check out his explanation of why it works, how it works, etc., and the exact dosage. But for me, they're all kind of calcium carbonates, and this one worked for me in my case, and looks like this will last me for a long time too. So to sum it up, coral snow, after trying out for a month and a half, does not hurt anything. That's my primary concern, and it does seems to do what it claims to do, which is number one, to bring water clarity to the tank. Oh, side bonus, I noticed a pretty big drop in nutrients in this tank 2 weeks ago. So I did coral snow for about, I think it's like 3 weeks at that point, and then I did my nutrients test. I tested once in a blue moon, maybe like once a week or sometimes like 2 or 3 weeks. I noticed that my phosphate and nitrate were like cut in half, and I was like, what is going on? I cannot kind of pin it on coral snow, even though some people also claims that, hey, coral snow also kind of help control your nutrient because they bind up the stuff that could break down in the tank setters. But I feel like, dude, that's too good to be true. Like this magic bullets for this reef tank hobby that only costs like $14 a year. So I don't want to kind of like claim that it is the next best thing since sliced bread, but for the very basic claim that it clears out the water in my tank, just come on, look at this. Look at how clear this is. I think the results kind of speak for itself. And the bonus is that nobody's trying to sell you anything. It's not even like a aquarium related product. True, I think the original form of coral snow was from KZ, I believe. But this DIY recipes is totally just like I think it's like a body bulking supplement or something like that. It's really basic chemistry stuff, and you just mix it with RDI water, and that was it. So I think I will continue doing this. Cost is low, does not harm anything, and I feel like the benefits seems to be there, even if I cannot reap all the benefit that it claims that it could. I think just for the fact that it'll clear out the water, and also make me stick my hand into the tank to blow out all the crevices and stuff like that and clean the tank a little bit, totally worth it for $14 a year.